What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Gamer Credits. This is going to be Season 2, Level 1. Let's introduce the players. Player number 1, BP.
Yo, kid, it's been too long, man. What's happening?
What you mean? It's been like 2 days, man. What you talking about?
Well, first recording again, man. You know.
That's what I'm talking about. It's been like 2 days. What you talking about?
This guy right here. Glad you haven't lost that humor of yours, man.
Never, ever. Then, of course, player number 2, Captain Starchild. What's going on?
How's everybody doing?
That was a nice touch, Captain Starchild.
Yeah,
still
I don't know where this captain thing came from.
You still talking to the audience like they're here right now?
Yeah. Why
Okay.
not?
All right. I love it.
Yeah, you can't break character.
Okay. You're right.
I love that.
Stay consistent.
See, it's all about the character. Yeah, you gotta,
Yes.
yeah, gotta go full mode with that.
Absolutely. Then of course you got what?
Yo, no, go ahead, man. My bad. You had to introduce yourself. My bad.
Can't even introduce
I know, man. You know, yeah.
Guess
Remember,
I'm not here.
Hey,
anymore.
remember Star was always so quick to like disregard him and everything. I guess that never left.
Oh yeah, that first episode was bad. I was like, dang, why am I here?
I know.
I said
Like,
twice.
what y'all talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you was talking the whole time. Nah, I'm just playing.
Nah, but go ahead. I'm sorry, my bad.
And of course, player number 3, it's your boy Kiddream. What's going on?
Shoot, man. This is good to have y'all back on the mic, man, so we can kind of get more into this gaming news stuff, man. It's been a while.
True.
It has. But before we get to the gaming news, does anybody have a gaming moment to share real quick?
Man, I have actually a couple, but what you got? Star?
Oh, I don't got moments. I just got the same game since season 1 that I've been playing. Overwatch.
Oh boy. Oh god.
Man. Look, that's dedication, ladies and gentlemen. So you can't knock him for it.
Nope. I'm getting those golden weapons.
How close are you?
I'm 300 points away.
Okay,
So
nice.
Like about 8-10 games if I can win them. And
yeah, we'll make it happen, man. We'll make it happen.
Love the optimism. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Before Overwatch 2 comes out, and there's just no need,
Oh man,
hey,
yeah,
that won't
the
be
way
a minute.
things going. It might be a minute.
It's gonna be a minute.
Also, I doubt it, but hey, it might be Xbox exclusive. Hey,
see what you did with that? Yeah.
Hey.
You think that? You know what? We'll get into that. You brought up a good thing, but we'll get into that.
Xbox doesn't want to be viewed the enemy, but
Well, for now.
For now, exactly. Like that's like Elon. Like for now, you seem like the good guy.
Yeah.
What about you, BP?
Man.
Oh shoot, hold on. I'm sorry. Let's interrupt for 1 sec. Just scratch that Elon.
Man, just pull the Kanye.
I'm
gonna let you finish, but
I'm sorry, man. Just scratch that Elon critique out. This don't ever broadcast that. I'm sorry, BP. Back to you.
You just worry he's coming after you or something?
Hey, I just want us to get funding. I don't want to. No, I don't want to say anything negative about one of the richest man on the planet. So
nah, man. Honestly, that might be the move, man. The more negative you talk, the more he might want to buy us out. So hey, keep it up.
Buy us out or just take us out. I don't know.
I mean, I'd prefer to buy, but I guess since you said take us out,
dark.
It is, man. So we probably can just leave it at that, and I guess I'll go back to my gaming moment. I don't even remember what it is now. I'm too scared. I'm worried that Elon Musk is gonna show up and just shut everything down like permanently. It's like, well, in case that happens, I guess this was a good life, guys. But anyway,
jeez, all right.
I'm gonna stick with the most recent gaming moment. I've actually perfected more of my builds from Ghost of Tsushima or Legends of Tsushima, I should say. The multiplayer.
Okay.
Yeah. They recently did an update to change a lot of stuff. I won't go into the details of the update, but they kind of took away some of the things, features that were prevalent before. Just as an example, with the skipping stone bow, that's like the legendary bow you use that does like a ricochet effect on enemies, and you would normally get resolve from that. But in the newest update, they reduced that, or they made it to where the extra arrows won't do that. So, but they did instead, they increased like things like the fire damage, and they've what else did they do? It was the fire damage, and then I think they increased their melee damage output for the samurai. So I've been working trying to get those builds perfected, and I think I got it good now. So that was a good gaming moment for me. Just been running through like waves like really easy now. So it wasn't a bad update.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Haven't been in Ghost in a while, but all right, it's nice to hear.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been fun. It's been fun. But you already know how I got down with that.
That I do.
So what about you, kid? What you got?
Oh man. Oh man. It's actually really a really good one. Basically, I don't know if you guys have saw the announcement. This is actually an announcement that came out, I think, right now at this point. But this year is the 20th anniversary for Kingdom Hearts.
I saw that.
So, they were doing a lot of announcements and, updating, announcing other games and everything. And at the end of it, they officially announced Kingdom Hearts 4. It had like a little trailer. It looks incredible.
Yeah, it's still gonna be 20 years out.
Unfortunately, you're right. Kingdom Hearts is definitely my favorite franchise, video game franchise of all time. So, and we knew from the creator that there was going to be a fourth game. 3 wasn't going to be the last one, so I was expecting to see it. But it was still nice to kind of wake up and have an announcement of Kingdom Hearts 4, and then to see some actual trailer.
Very pleasant announcement, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It sucks that, like Stars just mentioned, it's probably a couple years away, unfortunately. But just knowing it's there and announced, is something to look forward to.
Well, on the bright side, it could have been like another Cyberpunk thing.
Oh,
That's the bright side?
Well, meaning that it could have been like announced or officially mentioned, and then 7 years later, and it's like all this hype, and then you already know the story. I'm not gonna go over that. People know, but that's what I was kind of getting at. At least you can say, well, it's probably a couple of years out, worth the wait. So dang, I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw that, and I immediately thought of you, like, oh man, I bet he's really excited, and for whatever reason, I never stayed in my head to ask you that or talk to me about that.
It's all good. It might be a little bit quicker though for this one to come out, only because I know 3 took a long time to come out. It's kind of a 2 reason. It was because they were switching engine, use a whole new engine, and so that took a lot of time creating all the assets and everything.
Gotcha.
But then also everything that was going on with Final Fantasy 15, they wanted to focus and finish that first, which that had a really troubled development, and then they were going to focus, which funny enough, now it's on Unreal Engine 4, but they're switching it to Unreal Engine 5, Kingdom Hearts 4 that is, and also we're waiting on Final Fantasy 16. So I'm like, oh god.
Man, a lot coming out, huh?
Yeah, but I'm excited nonetheless.
Okay. I'm curious about the engine.
Yeah, I'm excited for Unreal Engine 5. I think that engine's going to be.
Oh, they're using Unreal Engine 5.
Well, right. The trailer that was shown was Unreal Engine 4, but they're in the process of switching it to Unreal Engine 5.
Kingdom Hearts, right?
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 4.
Wow, because I actually saw a video on the I think it was a video. I can't remember the name. God, I got to be better with getting these references. But it was a guy had basically put out like the 10 things to get the most excited about with Unreal 5, and he was just kind of going over the features of it. And man, it's hands down very impressive. I mean, even from a guy from my standpoint, where I don't really know a whole lot about that stuff, but just the output from it, and like the catalog, like the realism, is shaping up to be like, or it is looking really nice. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that demo they did for the Matrix movie. It was better than the movie itself. So
shots fired. Shots fired. I can't really disagree with him, but we won't go into that, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of beyond the scope of this podcast.
But yeah, I mean, that I guess called tech demo was pretty daggone cool.
Yeah, it was really good. It's really good. So okay, that's what's up.
Speaking of this podcast, what you guys think? You want to talk about Sony's new quote unquote competitor to Game Pass, their new subscription model?
Yeah, that's the good thing. That's the good thing. Let's talk about the bad things first.
Oh wow.
Sony is trying to do what Microsoft's trying to do, and they want to put ads in the video games. I mean, we should definitely talk about that because it's a bad decision. But if they feel this is how they can probably like add some revenue towards the expense of making games, is for us to sit through ads. I might be stopping games after this because it's that's out of hand. I mean,
Mhm.
YouTube, you gotta sit through those ads. If you try and get a streaming service that you still pay for, you still may have to sit through an ad. Now games, where you're supposed to relax, you have to be forced to now have ads. Nah,
Out of
What game?
curiosity, yeah, I was just curious about that. You said ads,
ads, yeah, ads,
but I mean, like, what?
advertisements.
Right, but you said Sony's looking at doing that because I didn't see anything about it. So I'm not saying
Oh
that
yeah.
it's not happening. I just this is news to me. So
Um, it was a article that was done back in April. Like I remember
hmm.
this one. Well, not back in April, but
That's
the
what I was
beginning of
about to
April.
say.
Yeah,
What?
the way this year's going, man.
Yeah, the beginning of this month, I should say, where basically they were talking about how Microsoft basically created this landscape where advertisers can, put ads in the games. Sony basically announced that they are planning on doing the same thing. Let me find the article and send it to y'all.
I was gonna
Since
say,
this
is
is
it in the game or is it on the
it's the
dashboard? Because I will
it's supposed to
say,
be in the game.
you are right when it comes to ads on like the Xbox homepage or whatever on the console itself. I don't know how familiar you guys are with it, but it's like different uh icons that you can click on, and you can switch between the different tabs that have different functions. And usually like on the bottom right hand side of like that home page, right when you turn it on, there is an ad nowadays for and I mean, granted, it's a lot of it's gaming and media related, so it'll be a new game that just came out or a new expansion or something like that. So it's not like, hey, go buy these Dorito chips or something like that, but it's they
Now,
do have the ads there.
now you're saying that Microsoft don't have ads in their games because there's a couple sports games that have already
Yeah,
been,
well, nothing to my knowledge, nothing Xbox has published. I know EA has dabbled
yes,
into
that's what I'm
adding.
saying. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know they have added ads in their games and everything. But I don't think, to my knowledge, Xbox has published and made them put ads in.
Yeah,
Well, it
I
looks
mean,
like
just
I'm looking at the article, not the one you sent, Star. I just saw that you sent it on the phone, but I'm looking at I guess the IGN article, and I see what you're talking about. But it looks like they're gearing it to like free to play games.
yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, here's my thing. It's free to play because there's ads. That's how they make their revenue. The more time you put in the game, that means the more ads you're gonna be forced to sit through. Means that the ads gonna pay Sony for that time. But here's the thing:
Mm-hmm.
if Sony sees that this is a windfall of money or profits, what would stop them from not trying to push this further
I
with
mean,
not
corporate's
just
going to
being
corporate.
free games, but just games in general?
Yeah. And I don't mean to say corporate's going to corporate like, oh, it don't make, it's no big deal, like whatever. But I guess I say that as less shocked. I guess that's kind of my way of just coming off like, I mean, it didn't surprise me. Um, I mean, it's really up to, I guess it's just going to be up to the players, like us for us to, kind of go against that. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just hard to say because at this point they're announcing this and they're looking into it. I mean, you do bring up a good point of it, and as far as it being a cause of concern, but until we kind of know more, it's hard to really talk about it.
Now, here's my thing. Like, if you go to the movies right now,
Mm-hmm.
before you try to get there early so you can catch the trailers. Now you
Yep.
get there early, you catching the same commercials you can see at the house. So it's that right there makes me not even bother going early to the theaters to care. I just want to see the
Let,
movie. I just
let
want
me
to get there late and
let me
skip
just throw
those
in a
commercials.
let me just throw
Hmm?
in a side note to that. 'Cause I don't know about anybody else, but like you just say, when you go to the movies, you know how they play trailers and stuff. But then,
Yeah.
like right before the movie starts, they'll always have like an ad for the actual like company. So like if you go to Regal, they'll have an ad for Regal.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
I'm just like, what's the point? I'm already here. Why are you advertising to me? I'm here.
They want you
So
to come back
stupid.
to only Regal. They don't want you to
Basically,
say, "Oh, okay, I saw this movie, but I probably was at
yeah,
AMC. I don't remember."
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like,
But so
I
they
would.
want to remind you before that movie starts. This
Mm-hmm.
is where you're at.
Yeah, I would star on that. That's more of a like I was gonna say brainwashing thing, but
Mm,
it's like a subliminal thing where it's like, hey, don't forget Regal is where it's at. You know what I mean? By the
yeah.
way, concessions, Regal. You know, like we're
Yes.
the
The
bomb. You know what I mean?
concessions.
Like I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. So, but it's funny you said that, kid, because I used to always wonder that too. Like I don't really understand, but I don't know. The more
I'm
I start
here.
getting into the idea of how corporate structures work and like
Yeah.
the economics of it all, like I was like, okay, I see what they're doing. It's kind of crazy, but if it works
Yeah.
and the studies show it works, then they're gonna do it. But it's
Now,
a
this is
funny
how
thing.
I.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No,
No,
I'm sorry. I'll let you go.
yeah, no, you're good. It was just funny you mentioned the whole thing about the theater and not going, caring to go there anymore to see the trailers because you already seen it. But it was just kind of reminded me of like our, you know, off podcast topics that we discussed regarding like E3 and stuff like that, and if there was
Hmm.
still a point for it. And it was just funny when you said it, just brought me back to that memory of me having that take. Like I don't see how relevant E3 is going to continue to be because everything that you normally would only find out through there or get more information about an upcoming game or a project from there, you can get online now. So
But see, the thing with E3 was it was never really about the public, but it allowed the public to also have the same level of access as some of the developers and
right.
some of the actual companies because they make deals at those E3s. They kind of look at the games that being presented and they say, "Do you need help with this, or how much does this cost to add this to your game?" Like they just come together like a conference,
Mm-hmm.
and the public is allowed. But now they do that stuff through Zoom. So E3 don't E3 don't make sense at all. Like I kind of would miss it because I like the idea of having people come together and just enjoying the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But it's becoming a dinosaur.
Yeah, kind of like the days of mostly when we would go into the store to get games and be excited about that, whereas now it's digital. You can
Digital.
get digital downloads and that instant gratification. So
You're more excited when it downloads in less than an hour.
exactly,
Well,
which is sad. It is a sad thing, but
yeah, and E3 has officially been canceled this year. So
Yeah.
very true, very true.
they're
Which leads to my whole thing of because I mean I won't say I'm not gonna sit here and say I predicted it, but I just felt like it was going down this route. Like going back, and I probably have to go back and listen to it more and see what exactly I said. But I just remember going about like what's the point of it? Like because
yeah.
to your credit, Star, I get what you're saying in your aspect of where you're coming from, but I was just like in hindsight, for at least for the public matter, like what is the point? Because most
Yeah.
of that stuff, I remember last E3 that we watched, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, there was nothing about it that just surprised me or shocked me or oh wow, like it was just oh yeah, I knew about that or oh I heard about that.
Now, here's the thing though. Do you think that the way that we are now responding to what E3 is it E3's fault or is it the gaming industry in general? There's the fact that there's just not much excitement for there to be even an E3 for some of the type of games we've been seeing.
It's a tough question, really. I think because it can kind of go either way. You can get into a situation where you blame them and say, well, you weren't being innovative enough, you didn't change up things enough, or you can just argue, you could make an argument that it really just is just a result of the times. It's
Yeah.
like how back in the days there were certain things that were popular, but then inventions came out and made it easier and more convenient, and then you find yourself not needing those old school things anymore. So like typewriter, for example, like nobody it's like after
Jeez.
the computer. Yeah, I know, right? I went really back, showing my age and everything. So but it's just that aspect where you don't really need it anymore when you got a computer. I mean,
And I
it's
think
just
another big part of it, maybe not necessarily E3's fault, but I think companies just got tired of having to share the spotlight with all these other companies. I know for me, I was always excited for E3, but one of the frustrations was there's just so much information. There's so many
Yeah.
announcements, so many
mm-hmm,
articles, so many gameplay. I mean, it's easy to either forget what you just saw or to miss something entirely. And so I think a lot of publishers and developers were like, why announce our game with 200 other games when we can just announce it separately and have, even if for a day, the spotlight all to ourselves.
But see, they're missing the point of capitalism. Like it's like football, and you have the halftime show where, of course, during the halftime show you get that little block of commercials. these companies will pay out I'm not going to say the word, for getting just a good 20 seconds of your time doing that, a very, very popular football game. So it's almost the same with E3. E3 is saying, hey, if you want your game to be noticed in E3, come big or don't come at all. And a lot of these games, they used to come big back in E3. That's why it was so exciting. But now it's so boring with some of the separate, type of platforms. Like Sony is, they
Just
need a,
do it anymore.
Yeah.
yeah, they
Well,
just stopped. I mean,
yeah. And I mean, honestly, there's a couple of things with that where, the companies found out, like Sony and Nintendo just found out, like, man, we can do this ourselves. Like, we don't really need E3 for this because we have the
but
means,
but
we
that's
have
the
the
thing.
attraction.
Nintendo had a good formula for doing it themselves that worked. Sony's formula, they didn't think it through. They tried to be their own E3. They tried to let you rent out theaters and stuff so you can go view
You
their
remember
experience.
that?
It's like they did it so big to where they couldn't maintain that momentum every year. Like it's just no way.
Yeah,
But
that
E3
that
allows
was a
you to
lot.
have yeah, E3 allows you to have so many people support it. The E3 itself instead of Sony trying to support its own weight in to make you excited about something for Sony. E3 was just making you excited about games in the gaming industry. And
Well,
that's kind of what we were missing.
yeah. No, I mean, I get you. How I look at it is, I've said this before, that Sony's pretty arrogant, and how did they get there? Because of the fan support, that
Hmm.
fan base. And I feel like truly that they feel like they built it up so much that their fans are going to follow no matter what. So they can come out and do like a state of play that's like not like mediocre, or if not like barely above garbage, and just still feel like our brand is that strong that they're still not, what I mean? We're still going to get people that come and support and defend us and all that stuff. So I think for them, it's like, I guess I don't know I don't really want to say ego, but it's just like they don't, maybe you can make the argument of, well, it's not as flashy as the E3 presentation, but in their minds, it's like, look, we're saving money and we still got our fan base that's growing, and we still got the hottest item, the PS5 that's going like crazy, which, arguably you can thank the scalpers heavily for that, but regardless of which, they can still claim that the consoles are selling fast. And, we have we got that demand. So naturally they can do those things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's just how I think about it. It's just like, if you notice, as time has passed, corporations have found more and more ways to cut things out, like to cut things
Yes.
out of the budget, including staff, unfortunately, and how to, you know, uh, put more crunch time on like a few people that they have there or something. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like messed up, but
Yeah, the
Yeah.
older
Well,
we get, the more we know how things work, and the more things we know, the less fun it becomes.
wouldn't it be fun just to go back to just being ignorant sometimes? Like just,
Yeah,
and
just
I
dust off
don't
the
mean that to,
Genesis, and
yeah, I don't mean that to like just let things then get away with all the heinous stuff that's going on behind the scenes, but just kind of makes you just miss those days of being a kid and being naive, and and just enjoying the experience for the experience, like not getting so caught up in, oh, this is a great
yeah,
game, but half the staff was just traumatized from the development of it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's a downer. It's like, because you care
Because
enough to
back
be
in
like,
those
wow,
days,
yeah.
back in those days, they were just partying their heads off and saying, "Hey, but while we high or whatever, this come up with a game with a guy can jump and eat mushrooms." I mean, back back in those days, they weren't trying to be corporate. They were just grown kids that knew how to program. And so they came up with great ideas and great IPs.
Oh
And now
yeah.
it's so corporate that it's all about the bottom line, which is the profit. How can this game make money? Not how fun is this game?
Very true.
pretty much.
Very true. Sadly.
That's all they care about these days.
Yeah, man. This
Yeah.
is what did we start off talking about, by the way?
Oh shoot. You
I
were
can't
one you had a topic and I interrupt your topic because you wanted
No,
to
I'm
talk
trying to
about
remember what kids
Sony.
started with. I don't
The
really remember now.
PlayStation Plus
That's
Yeah.
right.
subscription model.
I,
Wow.
I'm sorry,
That-
y'all.
no, I think that's cool. I think that's kind of like what I want us to go for, just a kind of like natural, that natural conversation. But Yeah, it was just funny because I was really trying to think hard. Like, what do we start off with? 'Cause I know it was something different than this.
Yeah, Sony, like I said, they announced their new subscription model after a lot of waiting and rumors and everything. And basically, I don't know why Sony has to make everything so complicated and convoluted. They could have just made one subscription price or one model. Nope. Instead, we get 3 different tiers, guys.
Yeah, I saw that too. Like, wow.
Yeah.
You get the basic PlayStation Plus Essential, which is your bottom tier. It'll cost you $9.99 a month. It's your basic PlayStation Plus. You get your online multiplayer, your 2 free games, all that good stuff.
Pretty much as how we know PlayStation Plus now currently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have PlayStation Plus, it's pretty much thing. What it's new is the next 2 tiers. PlayStation Plus Extra. That'll cost you $14.99 a month. But with this, you get access to over 400 PS4 or PS5 games. They haven't announced all of them just yet, but they did include some big first-party studios. I think Miles Morales, Death Stranding, Returnal is on there. And then finally, yeah, the big daddy right here, PlayStation Plus Premium costs you $17.99 per month. You get everything included below, but you also get an additional 340 games, including PS3 games. However, don't get too excited with the PS3 games because they are only available via cloud streaming instead of download.
Yeah.
So again, I'm glad to see they are making changes to the PlayStation Plus model and kind of following in the Xbox Game Pass footsteps. However, I really hate that they had to make it so extra. Like, why is there 3 tiers? Why?
Right. So, yeah, I mean, and I get that too, because it's left a lot of people like, what is going on? But
yeah,
but like you said, it is good that they are kind of going this route and doing it. How do you feel? Because I think one thing they mentioned, by the way, that and I guess it goes without saying by now, people should know more about this, but they're not going the Xbox route with this new tier system in regards to including exclusives on day one release.
Correct.
So
that's something they did come out flat out and say, no, it's not happening. Any first party games, your God of War Ragnarok, what else they got coming out? Help me out.
I mean, God of War is that one main thing they've been kind of focusing on lately. So I know they were working on Spider-Man 2, but that's still not.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2. Any first-party game that Sony has, they have officially said that will not be available on any of these tiers day one.
All right.
Which is smart.
You think so?
From a business standpoint, that's smart because you're cutting out more of the revenue you can really get from that game. Microsoft has an endless freaking bank account. They can do that. Sony basically runs their entire gaming franchise off of the sale of their consoles and sale of their games, not the sale of their subscriptions. Their subscriptions is like this extra thing that brings in revenue, but that's not their bottom line. They're a console manufacturer, and they're also a software developer. So that's where they want you to spend your money on, is the console or the game. The subscription, that's just like this icing on a cake in their eyes. Like, hey, there you go. You asked for it. There you go.
Well, I got some thoughts on that. And I'm really trying to find out. Matter of fact, Kid, if you got anything to put in, that's cool. Because right now I'm trying to figure out the order I want to go in as far as, my response to that.
Basically, I'm happy to see that they're adding to the PlayStation Plus model. I've said it before on here, and I'll continue to say it until they give me a reason not to. I'm a big proponent of Game Pass. I love the model. I think it's a phenomenal service, and I think you get a lot of bang for your buck included with it. And so I'm happy to see, even if it's not to the full capacity of Xbox, I'm happy that are going and adapting it. And as of today, as of right now, sure, their first party games aren't going to be included, but to say in a year, 2, 3, to take a step back and change that.
I'm just saying.
God damn.
Well, and Jim Ryan has come out and made that statement, sort of statement saying that it's not out of the it's not completely off the table that they will ever do that. Just at the moment in time, they're not looking to do
They're
that.
not. Exactly. Yeah.
So
You believe him?
so I don't know. It's hard to believe anything some of these corporate heads say this nowadays, but I would line it more along the lines of sort of what you were saying, except I'd probably just say like maybe they would probably extend it longer out than most people would think, because some people probably think, oh, they probably mean it within a year or so just to see how it does. But it could be years later or something before they do it. Because what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that I watched they do something slimy and they make like a 4th tier, and this be like $20 a month or 25 a month or something. And then that one you get
access to exclusives.
Yep.
Well,
yep,
see,
day one.
I'm glad you said that, because that was actually going to be one of the things I wanted to go into about what they, why I wanted to kind of disprove that fact of why they can't do it, and they think it makes more business sense to not go that route. So for starters, I think it's all about them just still having that ego of, well, why do we even need to do that day one pass? It's clearly Xbox is doing it to get the attention they need, because they don't have the attention that we get, or like that demand that we get. So we don't have to do those types of things to worry about pulling people in more and more like that. You know what I mean? So that's one of the true reasons why I feel like they don't want to do that. The other thing in regards to, because even Jim was saying when he kind of gave that whole explanation, I don't know it word for word, so I'll paraphrase it and just say that it was essentially that he felt it would harm the quality of the game production if they had to go to that tier, because I guess from his mindset, he's saying that the game sales themselves the games, like the exclusive titles pricing, like the sales would suffer as a result of the subscription, because if it's already on a subscription, then most people aren't going to buy it, and like the full price. And see, that's where I have an issue.
Even though there are people who would still buy the game if they like the game.
Right. And see that, yeah, exactly. And that was my issue about that whole thing that he said, because I was like, no, because if you look at Game Pass, they have Halo on there, right? Halo Infinite, but there's still mad people that have bought that game. It's done really well on sales still, on top of being on, Game Pass. So it was weird to me, because I'm like, if anything, the revenue stream that you get from the subscription would help boost your revenue more. Because you got to think, and honestly, I had all this worked out, and I don't even know where I put my sheet now. I wrote all this down, but anyway, basically the bottom line I'm getting at is, and even let's just say, for example, going back to kids example of, they might do another tier and say, 25 a month, and you can get that option. At the end of the day, guys, I think that still would be a good bet for some people, because it's like, if they had to average out, the cost of games that they would get, exclusive titles that they would get from Sony, and how much that normally runs them, like $70 each time, that might be more lucrative for them to think like, oh, 25 a month. Yeah, I can swing that. So I would go that route. And keep in mind, usually most players are going to be focused in, and well, I don't want to say most players, I don't want to generalize like that, but I think there's a good bit of amount of people that would get that service, focus on the 1 or 2 games that they were looking forward to playing. And that's pretty much it. And in some cases, some people will get that subscription, and let's face it, it'll be like a gym membership. They'll get it and then forget that it's even happening.
Forget about it. Yeah.
And that's extra money for Sony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they pull that appeal in to say, hey, you can get these exclusive titles. Oh, word, cool. And then, life happens, or people get involved in other things that are happening, because there's so many different options now. Like, there's so many different subscriptions to, like, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, everything, right? So people get distracted. And the next thing you know, oh man, it's been 3 months and I haven't even touched the PlayStation tier. So to me, that's why I was like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, other than what I said before about they just feel like they don't need to do it. And another thing that I feel like it talks that it speaks volumes about is, I don't think that they have the confidence in the subscription model for them.
Yeah. No, it's not one of their main focuses.
Right.
It's never been.
Yeah. And so that's what I think too.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. And I think the reason why that's so crucial is because it, on the one hand, it does paint that picture of them being safe, and it's, and from a corporate mindset, of course, sometimes you just want to play it safe. You don't really want to find your way into losing a lot of money, but it also really doesn't. It kind of reflects badly on it, because then you're kind of essentially saying you don't have enough faith in your products like that. Like, if you're in the current market and be in demand like that, then you wouldn't. I don't think a subscription service should really worry you that much unless you kept having like technical issues and people couldn't log in or had issues playing the games, and then they just cancel their subscription,
Well,
and it
can I
ends up
say
being a
this much?
bust. But yeah, go ahead.
I was not to interrupt, but
Oh,
when
go
it
ahead.
comes to subscription, you're talking about building a database and maintaining a bunch of servers, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of extra money that Microsoft has already have an infrastructure for their business model.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they went the route of subscription based profits, because they already have the infrastructure designed to be able to monopolize off of that.
Mm-hmm.
Sony was making just consoles. They even gave, when the PS3 came out, they even gave online PlayStation, was it PlayStation Plus? I'm sorry, free access. Like you can just play online with your friends for free. They weren't paying for a subscription. They
Oh yeah, I mean
weren't
originally, yeah,
trying.
yeah.
Yeah, they weren't trying to use that feature for profit. They just say, you know what, just add it on.
Mm-hmm.
But Sony's almost like, I think Sony's like an actual human being. When you think about it, they change where they need to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have to adapt. They weren't forced to adapt until Microsoft is now forcing their hands on so much. So they are now having to adapt. But it's sad that it's more of them now working off of the defense and never being on the offense. They would, like you said, the ego left them open to this type of blindsidedness when Microsoft was just able to say everything's free. We got all the games that you ever can be ever made or own. You can have access to this and that.
Mm-hmm.
So Sony's like, oh dang, people actually wanted that. We didn't think that, yeah, but they should have. They should have been thinking about that.
So I mean, you make some strong points with that. So when you say it, from this, what you're saying, do you believe that Sony really had no choice but to go the subscription route? Do you think at
Yeah.
just there's just really no choice for them in the
Is
matter?
that they have to adapt, and it's going to
Mm-hmm.
cost them. It's cost them a lot of money to build that infrastructure to meet the same type of expectations that you would already know to have with Microsoft Game Pass.
Got
Because
you.
again, Game Pass is not just like Microsoft decided to make it from the ground up. Microsoft always looked at their current existing infrastructure and say, let's use this to also offer that. Sony's more like they don't have that infrastructure, so they need to build it. And so that's due to the fact that they've seen the popularity with Microsoft. They're like, oh, we have to adapt. We need to adapt. Nintendo technically doesn't really adapt. They've just revamp it to work their way. But Sony needs to adapt. It's I don't want to see Sony lose, is my point. I like Sony. I like their games. I'm not hating on Microsoft. I just feel like they have a different agenda that has nothing to do with the gaming industry, but has everything to do with them becoming the monopoly that they have tried to be from day one of their existence.
So,
Gotcha.
question for y'all: are you subscribing?
Um,
I've been giving it a lot of thought.
yeah,
It's still hard to say because again, when you mentioned like just now, like Returnal being a part of the subscription, I had heard about that and I was like, I actually really wanted to play that game.
Yeah, heard good
So
things about it.
yeah, and so with that, I probably would give it a little go. Just kind of try it out at least a month. You know what I mean? And
The
you know,
$14.99 or the $17.99?
well, I don't really see a whole reason of the 17.99 one. If I'm being
Yeah,
honest, I just don't
yeah,
like they don't. And then plus I think we still need to get more details on how that's going to work
yeah.
and people's
yeah.
And what games are
experiences.
in it?
Yeah,
Well,
that's my biggest thing, and I haven't fully decided if I'm gonna do it or not. If I do, it's more than likely gonna be the $14.99 one. I'll just up my to that one.
yeah.
But it's mainly gonna come down to, okay, 400 games, but what are the games? Like Returnal is a big one, and it's a game I've actually wanted to play, haven't played yet. So I know day one that would be something I would pick up. But it really just kind of depends what else they have. It could be some big hitters in there. It could be a lot of random no-name games that nobody cares about. So that to me, that's the what selection of games are we getting? And also what's going to be interesting to see long term
Mm-hmm.
is adding of new game.
That's
That's
true
something
too.
I love about Game Pass is that, every couple of weeks, every month or so, they're adding some big hitters on there that you're like, oh snap, that's on Game Pass. What? So I'm curious to see if PlayStation will continue that momentum and maybe even compete with Microsoft to try to snag these third party games to be on their stead. So I'm curious to see that.
I
Yeah.
see dollar signs.
Of course. I mean, that's
So that's a no
usually
from
what
you,
it's.
Star.
Oh no, I mean,
Oh,
here's all right. So conspiracy mind.
oh boy, here we go.
Sony is not ready to be trying to go all out for the PS5 right now because they are still currently developing games that can support the platform.
Yeah,
They already have that going for them, and now they are trying to compete with Microsoft subscription. I think they're going to drop the ball on one or the other because they can't try to do both at the same time. So
yeah,
I just don't feel comfortable that they are going to put too much focus in this. This is just a good little what do you call it? It's good advertisement for them right now. Is to say that we are creating tiers for you to use. It's something that we are now talking about. So Sony's name is back out there again. But I don't have any real trust that it's going to be as exciting as they're trying to sell it.
Yeah. See, well, I guess
yeah,
that's for me. It's like I don't know. I mean, just my opinion. I don't know if they really needed to do it. In my
Mm-mm.
opinion, at least not now. Not. I mean, especially with the way things are going for them. I mean, maybe they are trying to think. We're trying to finally be future proof and start doing these matters. But I don't know. The whole streaming thing is just. Maybe it's just a way of them testing the waters and kind of saying, hey, how much revenue can we gain from this,
yeah,
move that we're going with. So I don't know. I guess time will tell when we see. It's coming out this year, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
This summer, I
This
think. I,
summer,
I don't
right?
know.
Okay.
I want to say June or July for some reason, but I know this summer.
I think I just saw the screen. I don't know why I
Hot
can't.
take. I kind of like what you just said, BP. I don't know why. I mean, I know why because of money, but I
Mhm.
really wish they would have just taken that PlayStation Plus collection that they made when they released the PS5.
Mhm.
You have PlayStation Plus, you have like, what is it, like a dozen or two games that you have access to, and there's some big hitters on there too.
Yeah, just about. Yeah,
Um,
you're right.
I really wish they would have just took that and just expanded it and just kept it as one PlayStation Plus price,
Mhm.
and just added to that.
That would have been good. That
And
would have been good.
especially if they would have just left it alone for the regular PlayStation Plus price, that would have been like a huge, not say hit to Microsoft, but like a big like slap you in the face, like, haha, look at us. You
Mhm.
get all this for your regular subscription. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But here's
Yeah.
the logistics in my head though. Like in the how would I word it? As a player, you don't think about it like this, but now that I'm trying to think of it outside of being just a gamer or the player,
Uh-huh.
the developers for these games that Microsoft is putting on Game Pass versus to say that game is cross-platform and can also not be placed on the PlayStation whatever tier, who's paying that developer more for the game to be used? I just think that it's going to hurt one or the other if it becomes more expensive to try to keep so many games available to be played 24/7 because you got to pay
Yeah.
for those licenses. Someone's paying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more games you add, the more expensive it gets.
The more expensive it gets, and the big hitters, like you were saying, those big hitters,
Yeah.
it costs big money.
Yeah. I
Exactly.
mean, I'll say this. In my opinion, and this is just from my understanding of business and matters like that. When you typically have your departments like accounting and things that look into these matters as far as
Yeah.
budget forecasting. So I'm pretty sure they've kind of explored those avenues and you know probably had a lot of questions for them as far as like long-term goals if we were going this route and the cost of like server maintenance and things like that, like what are we looking at. So I'm pretty sure they would have given them the projections, and the idea that they're going forward with this tells me that I think they have a kind of rough idea of what to expect. Now obviously things can change, the market could, nobody could sign up for whatever reason, or they may get more demand than they anticipated. So that could always change it. But I think just
Yeah.
overall, they would have already kind of had these models, forecast models like designed to say, well, this is what we expect. Like this quarter coming, by the end of the year, it should be this many subscribers. So I think they've already kind of worked that all out.
So you think they already worked out the contract, so how much they would need to offer for whatever fees to allow the games to be used on their service?
You mean as far as the third party support,
Yeah,
third
the
party
third
games?
party. Mm.
Well, I don't know if did they kind of go into that much, kid, with the third party support and all that? Because I don't think they really talked about it. I mean, we just know that they're
Yeah, that's the thing. They just 400 games, and it's like,
Yeah.
it can't
cool,
all
but
it
what
can't
are
be
these
all
It,
parties?
just
well, no, no,
Sony
no. Okay, they
first
did say
party.
including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalog and third-party partners. Okay, so
Okay,
yeah, they
see,
did they
yeah.
did illuminate on that. Um, so I don't know. I would see that's what I'm saying. Like they can't. I don't think they would have went forward with this if they all that was kind of like up in it. If you're trying to run a successful business, it's never a good idea to just go off of let's just see what the day, where the day goes. You have
Oh,
to go
I agree.
ahead. Yeah, you know what I mean? You have to go ahead and say, all right, this is our plans. Is it possible? What obstacles do we have to face? You know what I mean? And again, that doesn't cover everything because you're right. There could be situations where, oh, let's renegotiate because we've looked at
Yeah.
over at Xbox and what they're doing and they're paying this amount for these, for these licenses. So we feel like you can come up more. So and that's always that possibility. But I just think overall, generally, they would have kind of covered that, or else they would have just been like, nah, we ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see,
Tricky though, yeah.
and they're really gonna make it or break it on whatever games they have a part of
Very
the
crucial.
selection.
Very crucial. You're right.
I mean, I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Like I said, when it comes out, I'll check it out, and hopefully, they'll have some big hitters on. Like I said, if nothing else, hey, Returnal, that's adding co-op. All right, maybe it's already out now.
Yes.
So
Yes. I'm
So
actually excited about
here's
that.
my thing about Returnal. You're saying Returnal as if that's a great sounding game for everybody, but that game is more for no. I'm just saying that game is a very niche game. That like
yeah,
for the type of service they're trying to offer, they need to be trying to throw some type of game out there that is going to really grab a larger chunk of their player base. Returnal is a great game. Looks like a great game, but that's not a game for everybody on for Sony. So
no,
they
it's
need
not.
more. They need more.
Well,
Yes.
but you bring up an interesting point, and that's one of the things I think I did wonder about was the subscription service was. I mean, I don't want to say who's it for because obviously it is for PlayStation fans, right? But I just kind of wonder: is it more of a push to maybe attract new attention to it for people who may have felt like? Because think about it, like you have
Yeah.
people who might have been interested, but are looking at the game prices are like $70. Man, I ain't doing that. Like that's ridiculous. Like I don't need
Yeah.
all. And so the subscription service looking at that, are like, wait a minute. Because to be fair, like me with Xbox, like I just never would have ever found myself really kind of getting back into it. Like I didn't see myself getting a Series X anytime soon, at least nowhere near like now. But with the Game Pass, like I think there was a deal that popped up on my phone saying, "Hey, you can get PC Game Pass for
Yes, sir.
like $1 or whatever, and then $10 after that." And I jumped in it, and I saw what Kid was talking about this whole time. Like
I
it's
blame y'all. I blame you, and I blame you, BP, and I blame you, blame you, kid, because what you're doing is you're supporting the beast. So once there's no other companies around because you gave everything to Microsoft, then Microsoft could turn around and be like, you know what? All those great things we used to do for y'all, we don't need to do it. No, you say it's like Walmart. Walmart used to
Listen.
have like 20 lanes of this cashier. They
You make
became
us-
the biggest thing out there, and now you're down to three cashiers during the holidays. This is what's going to happen with Microsoft. It's just going to
Listen,
screw y'all.
I can't help it. They have the hitters. They have amazing games on the service. There's a lot of games that I was interested in and I didn't get around to buying, and they added to Game Pass.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, yeah, honestly, and I mean, my son and I, we do like Human Fall Flat, because it's featured on there, and actually, oh gosh, I can't remember her name. It's not Ninu Kinu. It's oh, I can't remember the name of it now. Not Uni Kuni. What was that game? Anyway, it was a game we found on there that was pretty fun. It was like a puzzle like game, and
Gotcha.
yeah, it was, and that's fun, So yeah, it just kind of opened the doors and like to just not better, but just more of a game catalog to have, for a low price.
It makes you try games that otherwise you probably wouldn't have picked up because you're like, I don't want to spend $60 or $70 on this game. I might not like it. You wait a little bit and you see it gets added to the service and you check it out and you're like, that was actually a pretty fun game. I'm glad I played it.
Yeah, and that was my other point I think I was going to make about the subscription plan was if Sony did go that route and say, hey, we got a tier for you to get the new day one releases, is that it would pull in people because the way I looked at it was if you're stuck on a mindset of, well, this will hurt our sales because people wouldn't buy the game, I think it's more or less like you would attract more attention from those who wouldn't have even gave that game a thought at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe they would have looked at Horizon Forbidden West and was like, no, I'm not paying that much money. But then here comes PlayStation Plus tier, and they're like, wait a minute, I can play it for this amount. Yeah, I can do that. And like, and obviously I know people would make the arguments, yeah, but then that just means people would pay like whatever the amount would be, $25 a month for like 2 months or maybe a month and just beat the game and be done with it. I'm like, yeah, but look at it from the standpoint of Sony's getting that revenue, and in return, they don't keep that game.
Yeah.
So that's just them getting the money.
Because that would have been me, because I wanted Horizon Forbidden West. I haven't picked it up yet. I wanted have an interest in Ghostwire Tokyo. Haven't picked it up yet.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, and it's like, they all kind of came out bad timing and some stuff, so I just haven't gotten around to picking them up just yet. But like you just said, BP, if they had it on that service, I would have probably be subbed to it. Yeah. And they would have been getting that money, whereas opposed to now, they're not getting anything. I haven't bought any of them.
Right.
So they could have been getting something.
Yeah. And then going back to your point earlier, Stars, that if people love the game enough, they're going to not only play it on there and be like, yo, this is amazing, but I'm about to go and buy this now. Yeah. And trust me, you got people like, look, I'm one of those people with Resident Evil, man. You already know my love for Resident Evil. I literally went and bought the physical copy and about the digital. Don't ask me why. I just did it. I was just like, you know what? I let somebody borrow my physical. I miss it too much. I'm about to go buy digital. That's how ridiculous a person can get. Not ridiculous. I shouldn't say that, but that's how intense it can get for you. It's just like, hey, I know I'm making this stupid. Well, I keep saying stupid. I'm making this like crazy move,
spending
to
extra
pay
money,
extra
man.
Right on this game I already own, but I love it that much that I it's like I want to keep playing it now. So,
but here's the thing, though. See. And this is because I always say that Nintendo doesn't adapt; they just revamp. So Nintendo's thing is when they release games for their subscription, they are taking games from the old catalog and they are upgrading it with functions and features that works with today's players. Like you can have a game that was not multiplayer when it first came out, but they added a multiplayer function to it, or they changed the control scheme so it can fit today's modern playing controllers. So it's like they doing things differently, not just saying we're going to just put everything out there on a subscription and pay a monthly fee. No, they're taking time to redo these games. That also costs money. So if Sony is trying to get a lot of these older games to run on the streaming or whatever else, I know that it does still take some programming and some adjustments to get that thing to run. So that's also another cost, which then that begs the question: are they devaluing their actual current games that they are putting so much effort into making, while they are also trying to handle this other side of the technical side of bringing these games onto the subscription? Because it's going to cost them so much more money now just to make the game, and then also allow the game to be on the subscription, plus taking the older games and trying to put those on the subscription and making sure they are compatible and like all the things that has to be done for that game to be playable. Is that just costs money. These games were at one point in time only working off of another console, so they're doing a lot of things that emulate these games. It's not going to be cheap. Like if I really sit back and think, this is costly.
It's funny you say cheap and actually even the word emulate, because that's where a lot of people are actually mad at Sony, because the highest tier you get access to PS3 games, but only via cloud streaming.
Right.
They're actually not investing money in the emulation, so you could actually download it. So
so they devaluing their games.
They're cheaping out
devaluing the
there.
games. Yeah.
So
I'll say this. Like well, it costs money to invest and do all those things, sure, but let's not act like Sony ain't pulling that money. They don't. They may not have Microsoft money. I'll give them that. They nobody. I don't think hardly anybody really has Microsoft money. If we're being honest, for them to go out and buy like $60 billion companies like it's nothing.
Yeah,
like it's just Tuesday. But they're making bank. You know what I mean? So like it's because it's like the reason why I say that is because a lot of times the companies would always throw that out there like, hey, we got to do all these microtransactions or ads or whatever in our game because we got to make up the money we invested somehow. And it's like, dude, your game sold like gangbusters, man. You're like you brought in so much money as a versus the amount of expenses that you put into it. So come on.
I would say as a company as a whole, Microsoft basically can probably never get into a deficit no matter how much money they spend because they always getting something back. Sony can actually get into a deficit, so they have to they have to be a little bit more smart with their decisions. So I mean, are they being smart? That's the argument I think that I'm having with myself with this idea. So
yeah. Well, I'll say this: I'm kind of like with Kid on that, PS3 emulation deal. I just think, to be honest, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's easy because I know it's not. I mean, there could be debates about that. You got people that literally have gone out there and done PS3 emulations and say that can be and happen. And even they will say, yeah, it was some probably will say it was very challenging, but it can happen. So that's my whole thing about it. It's like it can be done. They're just looking at it like, why?
Yeah, not to.
It's like we move forward this whole time. Like,
can we make as much of a profit from the actual expense? Like,
I think they could though with PS3. Honestly,
I mean,
I don't know, man.
They're charging this as the highest tier, so they're already making more money for people who sub to it. So I mean, you would think that they would invest in it because they're saying, hey, give us a little extra money so we can invest in it, and then fine, you don't have to stream it, you could download it,
right?
Yeah, but remember, we gotta be careful. The way we're trying to act like how Sony's making money, that may not be how they're making money. They might be taking a loss with that. They probably hoping on a projection of just gaining more subscription people or subscription accounts. So down the line, somewhere down the line, they have a database of, then we can do this other thing that's not been talked about yet. Like, all this could be just a roadmap towards something that they haven't discussed yet. So it's like they probably not making money off of this, because if you really think about it, you don't really make money off of retro things unless you're targeting just a certain group of people. I don't think the newer people, not the newer people, the newer players, they're not really going to get that subscription just so they can play old games they never heard of. And they're the ones that are going to be the dominant players down the line, down the road. So I think they're just trying to build their subscription. That's all they're doing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Well,
all good points, gentlemen.
Yes, absolutely. And because this actually is not on Game Pass, and also right now not on anything Sony has available for subscription. This is the surprise thing I wanted to bring up. Viewers, I might need you guys to help me convince these two gentlemen here, but I'm in a dilemma. I think I'm gonna pull the trigger, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and buy Tiny Tina's Wonderland. But it'd be nice. It'd be nice to have some people to play with. You know what I mean? It'd be nice co-op. It'd be nice to have some people to kind of play through the game with.
This man put a whole campaign out here trying to get us to buy it. You see this, Star?
It's
I see it. Yeah,
I have to expect him to play that music in the background. The music you hear in those like commercials about donating and supporting this cause. Man. That's what that's the only thing missing right now.
Hey man, if we wouldn't get copyrighted, I'll play it too. But get copyrighted.
Yeah, good call.
Hey, I would say it's open a GoFundMe, but that might be illegal also. But I gotta wait for that game to drop in price.
Man.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was too. But here's the thing: in all fairness, I still need to see how it runs or how it's looking. Because don't get me wrong, I'm hearing great things about it, right? But not enough to where it's really pulled me to the matter of, well, I got to go out of my way to see this thing. Like, what is this whole thing people are talking about? You know what I mean? I just hadn't got to that point yet.
Yeah,
I've seen some gameplay. It looks fun.
You seen the gameplay?
It looks like a Borderland game. I mean, and of course, we know a person, a mutual friend that actually plays it, and I trust their input. They like it. They actually think it's the storyline is funny, and that person almost helped convince me to buy it, but then my bank account was like, slow down.
Man.
So
hey, the bank account will do that, man. It will slap you across your face and be like, man, what are you thinking? Yeah, it will do that.
Yeah. So I'm still hoping for price.
Yeah, I've been seeing some gameplay and it looks fun, and I've enjoyed Borderlands. I kind of finished. I was replaying this game XCOM 2, phenomenal game. BP, I actually have to talk to you about it later because it's very similar to Fire Emblem. Complaining to you about that game.
Of course. Can't forget those days. Those were good old days.
Yes. But I recently beat it. I think this past Monday, and so I was like, all right, cool. Now I need something else to kind of devote my time to, and kind of been just kind of going back and forth. And I don't know, for some reason I'm just like my eyes are just stuck on it. I guess I just want something just to turn my brain off and just like have some fun first person shooter gameplay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With some stupid writing, because I don't know a whole bunch about the whole Tiny Tina character herself and, you know, her funny moments, but the humor that she portrays is kind of my kind of dumb, off the wall humor. So I'm like Star mentioned, I'm hearing like, you know, good things about it and it's funny and stuff like that. So it just seems like a fun time, and that's kind of what I'm looking dumb for.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the question. And maybe we can set up something. I know we were talking about, you know, doing live streams. So maybe we can set up something with that. I mean, that might work out. So I don't know.
Saying is, don't be surprised if next episode I bought the game, about to push the button and buy it.
Sound like you're right on the edge, man.
Oh, I was saying you about to buy it now. Okay.
It's like it's like you're looking for that one thing that's gonna just push you over.
I have it I have it pulled up on my Amazon and the actual. You know, it's so interesting. I'm really tempted just to buy it digitally as well.
Oh, okay.
And I'm more of a physical kind of guy, but I'm like, I just want it now, and I'm just kind of like buy it.
Gotcha.
What you're doing right now is you helping the audience to start doing what you about to do, which you're buying digitally. What I would have said instead was, I will wait till tomorrow and go to GameStop so we can support the brick and mortar stores so that we can keep the gaming industry alive. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you lost me at GameStop. I'm sorry.
I'm about to say, you know, he has not heard your stories about GameStop, kid. So,
I mean, GameStop isn't a great place to want to work, but it's still a great place to buy the games. I mean, it's.
But to be fair, kid, you know, he kind of makes a good point, because what's your other alternative, really? Like Best Buy,
Walmart.
Oh, good point.
If I wanted to go to a store, either Walmart, Target, Second and Charles.
Right. Second Charles. I forgot about that.
All the people we are naming, we are also asking for some type of donation.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm sure Best Buy and GameStop is ready to do that, man. I can feel it.
But because like Amazon, like the editions I would buy won't be here till like next week. Oh, the $90 edition, that'll be here Friday. But I'm like, I'm not buying that edition. I just want like the basic one. Like,
well, then clearly you don't want it bad enough, sir.
Well, that's why it's about to be digital.
True.
I'm like, dang. But I ain't gonna lie. I do want it kind of bad, because I was tempted. I was like, 90's not bad. I got paid. 90 might not be too bad. I thought about it. I didn't pull the trigger, but I was thinking about it. I was like, maybe.
Yeah, but I've been there too, man. That's how they set it up. It's like make you to there, like you really want to, you know, you're considering it. And it's like, well, you can get this $100 item, you know, much quicker. And it's like, oh, dang, man, I might have to. You know, you try to justify it.
Can we talk about the tiers in these games? It's like we were talking about the tier for the subscriptions, but the idea that the games that they're giving us options for comes with options. Like I just don't care for DLCs. I feel like the game should be created as a complete game, and then they want to make a part 2. That's fine. But just to say that, all right, we're going to give you access to some DLCs later on, we pay this extra cost. People work and pay bills, and you know, people got other expenses. Like they just want to just enjoy a game without having to think, you know, should I spend this money hoping that the DLC be just as good? Because talking from experience with playing Destiny, some of the DLCs were not worth me even putting money towards it. So is it worth me spending? Don't want to knock them. I still had great times, but do I want to just risk it and spend the full price? But that still gives me a discount versus me paying separate for that DLC down the road. Like, how do we know we can trust this? Paying extra upfront.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. That ship is kind of sailed, man. That money too good, man. Yeah. That money too good. And speaking of which, you look at situation now, which I actually wanted to talk about, if not for like a short time, but the fact that GTA has a plus So, sorry, Plus.
Yeah.
Well, no, it is GTA Plus. So
Yeah.
subscription
It's
now.
a plus.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. And just imagine how crazy that is. And even when you look, I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at the features in that, but it's laughable.
Oh, I can
And that's
imagine.
how much of a joke it is now, where, the whole, hey, let's get in on what's hot. The subscription thing is really taking off. So let's go ahead and start doing it in the game now. And yeah, we'll give you these things and dress up like it's the best thing in the world. Like, for example, hey, part of your subscription service, you get 500 500,000 in-game current, credits or currency,
Yep.
GTA bucks, whatever you want to call it. And, to the most GTA players out there realize that is nothing, like, at all.
No,
You know
because
what
you
I
can
mean?
hack
Like,
the
you
game
don't.
and get more money than that. So it's like, why even
Well,
bother?
it's crazy. It's just
I'm
funny to me that they were just so hardcore about it. Like, oh yeah, they were just like really giddy. Like, you get 500,000 a month for the subscription, and the rest of us is looking at like, yeah, that's not even a car in the game, man. Like,
No.
that's not even a low end car. And even if it was you can get a low end car, the upgrades alone would easily go way past that. So it's just stuff like that. And there's just other things too, where it's like, oh, you get exclusive rights to get this vehicle. It's like, but it's already in the game, or something that most people already own that's been playing it for years. So it's
That
just stuff like
paywall,
that.
man.
That's
It's a
what I mean.
paywall.
It's
It's
a
crazy. Like,
ridiculous paywall. It just doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
Nobody's interested.
Absolutely, man. It's all about just making more and more money, which I will say, though, to add a little bit of positive, the good part about New Climate is there is more content,
Mhm.
Yeah, it sucks to have to keep pulling out your wallet each time to buy this and to buy that. But when it's done right, it's always nice to one of my favorite examples, The Witcher 3. You bought the base game, cool. And they had a bunch of side mini DLC that was all free. But there was 2 expansions that you could buy, and they were actual expansions. Like, they added, a bunch of new story, new areas, new content. Like, it was done well. And the second one, I mean, it's regarded as one of the best expansions, done.
see that right there, that's because they actually care about the IP and they're just not trying to make a quick buck. They want to try to build a fan base. Take that same compliment you gave that game. Can you give the same compliment to a game like Division and their DLCs and their expansion?
See, I personally, I never dabbled into a whole lot of it. But again, to kind of be the Mr. Positive, for those people who enjoyed those games and went all for those games, it's nice to get more content, to get more things to do. It's always been
But
pretty fun.
that's what I was getting at. It wasn't more. It was more, but more of the same. Like, it felt like you didn't get anything different, just different skins or different location maps.
Oh, yes.
That's basically the same gameplay and the same game style. So that's what I was trying to say. Like, Witcher 3 looked like they say, you know what, we're giving you some expansions and it's going to be a new
Yeah.
experience versus,
Absolutely.
Back when
you
CD
know,
Projekt
this.
Red was
Oh, yeah,
they had that
yeah.
level of goodwill.
Yeah, and fingers crossed, they will continue this with Cyberpunk. I know they've made a lot of progress to update and fix the game. It's still not where it should be necessarily, but I am excited to see what kind of expansions they put out. Like I said, The Witcher 3, those expansions were massive. They were big expansions that added a lot, and so I'm really kind of hope whatever expansions they do create, which I think the new timeline they just gave recently is next year.
I was about to say, like, I was
Until
about to be
next
devil's
year.
advocate, man,
Yeah.
because I was like, not well, from, I guess maybe it's more from the community reaction than the actual developers, but I was kind of hearing that the idea was that they weren't really, like, I don't know if they're really going to stick with that. Like, more people were starting to think they were maybe just looking at abandoning it, especially because I think they recently announced, well, I don't even know if it was recently announced, but I know they talked about Witcher 4 being in production. So
Yes.
a lot of people
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so hyped. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing. A lot of people are hyped about it. So I don't know. Like, I was hearing just rumblings that they may, because obviously, clearly, they would have had to start designating people to start getting on that and,
Yeah.
planning that through and working on it. So,
They
a
just
lot of
had
people.
an earnings call recently, like a week or two ago or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
And there is an infographic out there where they break it down, their staff, like this percentage of people are working on this and this percentage is working on that. So they are transitioning more and more people away from the base Cyberpunk into the expansions. Cyberpunk expansions, and that's where they did say that the first year, and then they also have people working on other IPs. So I think a majority of the staff are working on other IPs, so like The Witcher 4, but there is, from what they're saying, is still a subset of developers working on it.
Gotcha.
Will they abandon it? Who knows? Hopefully not. I would love to get a little bit more.
Hey, Austin, I already heard it in your voice, so I'm just going to say it before you even get to it. We went over our 45 minutes, but I was loving everything about the show. So it's a good comeback for season 2 episode. Level 1. Oh man, I did get off this thing so I can eat.
Yeah, you do, especially since you just said my name too. Back at it again.
Oh, yeah, I missed that.
Yeah.
I missed that, man. See that? Honestly, that's good, man. Like
I
that's
could have sworn
we're
I
back
said
we're back on our roots.
We need to rewind this, man. I know I said kid.
But you're right. That might be a good time to call it, then.
Nice. That's good. That might be that could be like our sign off officially, to let us know that we're running a long time when he just starts doing it. He starts calling you real name.
Like, all right, I gotta go now. Come on.
It's like Star Child is tired, man. So we need to wrap this up.
Exactly.
So, all right, well, that's cool, man. Yeah, I mean, this is great, man. This is great. They kind of get back into the groove and all that. So
definitely.
Yeah. Just a quick note, guys. Just putting it out there. And when I say guys, I mean y'all in the audience. But I'm still working, and I know I've been saying this for a minute and trying to get everything put up regarding like our website, official website, different social media, different social media like accounts. I'm still working on it. There's unfortunately had like a lot of crazy things happen over these past months. But it's coming along. It's coming along well. And in the meantime, we still got that email that I would love for y'all to reach out to give us input, thoughts, like comments. And that's GMR credits, CREDITS @gmail.com. So just feel free to please use that. Continue using that right now. It'll be great. And then I'll just kind of keep y'all updated, as to the changes and the things that I'm a bit update with Gamer Credits. So just wanted to take the time to really say that I really appreciate y'all and your patience. I know we've been gone a long time. Like I said, a lot has happened. But we're trying to just go back into it, just continue on and, hopefully keep this engine running.
Oh yeah.
So, but all right, y'all. Well, I guess that's it. Till next time.
All right, let's get it.
Y'all.
Yeah. All right. Peace.
It's been fun, man.